Let's talk about how clarity, precision, and trust create financial traction. Sidebar, remember, I'm not really a fan of the you have money issues identity convo, but look, that doesn't mean that you aren't interested in the topic or desire to crack the code for more in your life in a way that feels really good. To hear more about my point of view on money and more, you can check out some of the earlier videos in this series. Here's the point. Maybe you don't struggle with money because you can't act or adapt or handle pressure. Maybe there's struggle because you can see too much, and that seeing doesn't translate into movement. If that's you, you understand systems, you recognize patterns, you can diagnose what's wrong faster than most people in the room. And yet, when it's time to turn that clarity into revenue, things slow down. Decisions linger in an open loop. Offers stay vague. Conversations stay interesting but inconclusive. That isn't lack of confidence or ambition. That is a nervous system orientation being used without the support it needs. The SAGE orientation exists to solve a very real set of money challenges. Situations where trust matters more than speed, where people need to understand what is happening and that there is a system before they say yes, and where value is created through accuracy, precision, rather than force or timing. Before we go further, one quick note, because it will change how you hear the rest of what I'm going to share. The somatic skins are not personalities or fixed identities. They're nervous system orientations, ways that the body organizes itself under pressure. Everyone has access to all four. Most people lead with one, and money tends to get easier or harder depending on whether the right orientation is available in the right moment. If you want to know which orientation you currently lead with, there is a free Somatic Skins Quiz assessment linked in the description below. Pause this video, go down and take that assessment, and then come back. It isn't an advice or a label, it's orientation, so that this video actually lands and helps instead of staying abstract and conceptual. Okay, now, the SAGE. The SAGE orientation is the nervous system's capacity for clarity. It's what allows someone to hold complexity, see patterns, and articulate what's actually happening beneath the surface. When this orientation is online, money often moves through trust. People feel understood. They feel accurately named. They feel like they're in capable hands. This is why SAGE capacity is invaluable in things like consulting, teaching, advising, strategy, and any environment where people are making decisions based on understanding rather than urgency. Money responds to this orientation because clarity reduces risk. When someone can make sense of their situation, they move. But here's where this orientation gets tangled up. SAGE-led systems often mistake clarity for completion. They see the problem so clearly that action starts to feel premature. There's always one more layer to understand, one more distinction to make, one more refinement that could sharpen the whole thing. And somatically, you can feel when this happens. The body stills, but not in a grounded way. Breath becomes shallow or suspended. Attention will lift upward and forward into the prefrontal cortex. The system stays in observation mode, even when the moment calls for engagement. Money starts to stall, not because the value isn't there, but because clarity never quite lands in the body strong enough to move. This is where SAGE-led people often get frustrated. They know that they're offering something real. They see others charging for work that feels less precise or less thoughtful, and yet their own income feels capped, delayed, or dependent on an endless explanation. The mistake here is trying to solve this by pushing harder. When sage systems copy warrior strategies, forcing decisions, compressing nuance, oversimplifying, they lose what makes them valuable. Their clarity dulls, their voice tightens, and money doesn't flow more freely, it just feels less aligned. The sage orientation doesn't need more drive. It needs embodiment, and that is the missing piece. Clarity has to land in the body, theirs and other people, before it can move others. When breath supports the voice, when structure supports attention, when insight drops downward instead of staying suspended, something shifts. People stop needing to be convinced. They feel oriented. And that is the moment money-making changes for sages. Offers become simpler, not because the work is simpler, but because the signal is clearer. Pricing becomes easier to lift because the system can tolerate the tension of being precise instead of exhaustive. Conversations resolve because clarity finally meets commitment. There's also a visibility challenge here that's worth naming. Sage-led systems often hesitate to put a stake in the ground publicly because they don't want to be wrong, incomplete, or misinterpreted. They'd rather refine privately than risk distortion. From the nervous system's perspective, it's smart. The sage values accuracy, but money often requires clarity in motion, letting understanding evolve in the open. Cultivating the sage orientation teaches the body how to speak clearly without needing total certainty, how to trust that clarity can deepen through participation and engagement, not just reflection. That's a money skill. So here's the reframe for you. The sage orientation is not about knowing more. It's about making understanding usable. When clarity is embodied, money stops feeling like something that should happen later. Once people fully get it, it becomes something that can move now because trust is present. If money feels hard because everything stays conceptual, or because you're constantly explaining without closing, it's often because this orientation is online without enough somatic grounding. And that's trainable. If you're curious which orientation you lead with, sage or otherwise, please do start with the Somatic Skins Assessment Quiz linked below. But if you want to experience the power of this work for yourself, train these orientations with us in a season of the prestige. This is the work that we do best. In the next video, we'll look at the asset orientation, the empath orientation, and money, where value moves through sensation, experience, and relational safety rather than clarity, pressure, or timing. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying this series as much as I am in sharing it with you. Please do like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And if you feel so inclined, let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Until next time.